extortion this morning, as several schools in the Tambo district region have had to shut down due to extortion. These criminal syndicates that initially targeted business owners and individuals have now expanded their operations to schools and healthcare facilities. Tambo District Municipality's Mayor Mesuli Ngqondwana joins my colleague Aldrin Sampear live in Mthatha. We take you there. Aldrin, let's hear what the Mayor has to say.
Yes, we'll be in conversation with the Mayor in the next short while. We're outside the Madeira police station in Mthatha, and this is where we've also found e-hailing service providers who are also staging a protest here, and their issue is in relation to alleged extortion from the end of taxi drivers or taxi owners, and this is in relation to some of the routes that they are using, and the taxi industry saying that they demand compensation as well for the use of these routes because they are the ones that have developed these particular routes. We see that some of the taxi drivers and taxi associations have also arrived here now. We'll be speaking to them a bit later on. But let's go back to this conversation now and introduce the Mayor from the Tambo District Municipality, Mesuli Ngqondwana, who's joining us this morning. A very good morning to you, Mayor. Thank you so much for making time for us. Tell us about your concerns in relation to extortion in the area, and also looking back at when we had the police minister here, when you were at pains to address how difficult this issue is, especially when it comes to extortion in the construction industry.
Yes, ever since the arrival of the minister, I can confirm that we have seen a huge difference. There's been a very strong presence and visibility of police personnel in our area, and there's been quite a number of roadblocks and stops and searches all around. So at least the confidence on the people is being restored. But as a matter of fact, it is true that our people live in fear as a result of these extortions, because there are people who masquerade themselves as kings in the space, actually running the show. So we want the visibility of the state, because people must not lose hope and start believing that for them to be safe, they must respond to these extortions. It affects us a great deal because we are a water services authority. We deliver huge projects. And most of the time, our projects get stalled by people who demand to be given money by these people without having done any work. There's a difference between people who say, we want our show of work, we want to work, and people who say, we're not going to be doing anything, but you're going to be giving X amount of money in order for you to be able to carry on with the work. We are faced with such incidents, and they have a huge bearing on our speed of delivery as we execute our tasks.
Who are these people?
We do not know them.
How does it happen that you don't know them as the state? Where's crime intelligence?
That's not the area in which I can respond as a person who lives in the space of local government. I deliver basic services. When there are criminal elements, I report them to law enforcement agencies. So the people, when they demand these monies, they will talk, let's say, to a contractor. But when you try to seek the identity of these individuals, that contractor will fear talking to you until you try to say, look, go engage with police. So that's where you hope that they will have the courage to tell who the person is.
Yeah. What do you then believe, Mayor, the answer to that is? Because the issue that you are raising now is a similar issue that is raised by residents who have been extorted as well, that they fear reporting to the police because they believe that the police will then make sure that their identities are known to the alleged perpetrators. How do we deal with that particular element? Because it's also playing out in the construction sector.
We are fortunate now because, having said, since the arrival of the minister, teams have been brought into town, at least it's personnel from outside town. We believe that at least there will be confidence that we are not talking to local officers whom we believe have got some relationships with certain individuals. We understand that that will boost confidence on the part of the people to speak now.
Yeah. Okay, so you believe that more people will be coming forward to speak. How then do we ensure that the people who do come forward to speak, that they are not harassed? Earlier on, for instance, we were at EFATA, a school for the deaf as well as the blind. And one of the incidents we are told there is that there is a nurse who works for the school. There was an attempt to extort money from them. They had to flee. The entire family had to flee.
As to how they are protected, I must say, for instance, you know that there's a new hotline that has been put in place that has got guaranteed secrecy. I must go back to this point that at least now we have got foreign officers in town. Our confidence is that they are not the kind of people.
What do you mean by foreign officers?
I mean that come from outside town. So our understanding is that at least this perception we have about our local police, that they could be having some relationship to share with these people, at least will be wiped away. There's a hotline where secrecy is guaranteed to the people, so our expectation is that people engaged with police in that manner.
What do you say to the e-hailing services providers who are here today, who are saying that even the taxi industry is extorting money from them?
I do not have doubt. You know, the issue of extortion takes many forms. Yeah. And somehow, if different trades fight in space, I will define that as extortion, the other one will be defining it the other way. But the point is, let's take all these things to law enforcement agencies for them to sift who does right, who does wrong.
Do you think the police are failing?
At some point, I have had that impression. Hence, I spoke out very loudly when the minister was here that we are not satisfied with how things are happening. Hence, I was saying to you earlier on, at least ever since the minister was here, we have seen a huge difference and our confidence is being restored.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. That is the mayor of the OR Tambo district municipality, Mesuli Ngqondwana, speaking to us about some of the interventions, of course, but also his reaction to since the deployment of the police right here in the area. And remember, of course, that this has been an issue that has been raised, and the Minister of Police was in town last week. We also had the police commissioner as well, and remember that there was a decision that was taken to have a deployment of police officers right here in town and increase the police visibility as well. Let's speak to Nati Daimani, who is Mtata's e-hailing organization. They are part of the protesters that are outside the Madeira police station, the e-hailing services, what I just spoke to the mayor about a bit earlier on. And Nati, very good morning to you. Tell us about what your concerns are. And the mayor is saying that, listen, some people may call it extortion, others may define it as something else, but tell us about your experience.
We'd like to call it extortion because the thing is we're a group of young people that are from here, Mtata. Since there's a high rate of unemployment, that we seek of going to the e-hailing spot so that we can make income. So ever since then, there was a quarrel with the taxi industry, confiscating our cars every now and then, and we're expected to pay money around about 2,000 to take your car out. And whenever we report it to the police station, they just tell us, go do what the taxi bosses are saying. And we're saying, if we're coming to the police station and you are not assisting us, where are we supposed to be running? Because we are not here to fight with anyone. There's a high rate in employment, because you can go to any province around South Africa. There are a lot of people coming from the former Transkei looking for jobs and all, because there's no employment, you know. So even now as we speak, there are 2 cars that have been held ever since 2 days back in one of the ranks area around Mtata. They beat us up. Sometimes we were chased. At some point, there was a very bad thing that happened in the local university, where one of the guys was beaten until his eye socket was broken. He had to go to the doctor. Then we reported that, and the case was just blew out of thin air.
Yep. And speaking about the university, we were actually speaking to a business person yesterday who said that at some point, because they are in the property industry and they are providing rental residential for students, they also then started offering transportation services. And what you guys are facing now with the taxi industry, that also happened with them as well, where they had to eventually stop providing transport services to students.
That is a bad thing, because I will tell you this, because we do make our own research in some other things. You know what happened is when this thing of outside accommodation happened in the local university, the taxis were told, this is the fee that we are offering in terms of the money coming from NFSAS to provide for the students. And they declined, saying that the money is too little. Then all of a sudden, because everything was well and good with the previous leadership of the taxi industry, until there was a new leadership that started everything back and fighting with people and all. You know what happened is that they said to us, for them to be able to allow us to operate in Mthatha, we need to belong somewhere, because we cannot have three organizations that are running around transportation here in Mthatha. So what happened is we approached them, they chased us away. Then we approached the other taxi industry that is also around Mthatha, Uncedo. They welcomed us. Then they said we must affiliate. We paid money, and as I'm speaking, we are members of Uncedo, because what they wanted us to do, we did. Yeah. You know, because like I'm saying, a lot of people, if you allow me to even say this, a lot of people that are driving hailing, we've got a lot of ex-convicts that are trying to live a right life, you know, and trying to rehab themselves in terms of the life they're coming from. So now when you provoke those kind of people, what's going to happen, you know? Because all we want is just to work and provide for our families. Because many of us, you'll be shocked, they are lawyers, they can't get jobs. There are guys that are nurses there that can't get jobs. So that's the only way that we know that we can be able to provide for our families.
We are about to speak to the MEC for Community Safety and Transport, Mesuli Ngqondwana. I want to know from your end, because this is a provincial competency when it comes to transportation, what conversations has happened with the provincial office, and where do you think the provincial office is failing?
The communication was there, and I won't lie. The MEC that you were about to speak to, he knows, and they are trying by all means to assist us. And the worst thing is that whenever they're trying to communicate, they are in the offices and they have to put in the ground floor so that everything is enforced in terms of the law. So now what's happening is now we've got people that are afraid of the taxi guys, and they're not willing to barge in, because you find that now when you look at it, there's people that are confiscating our cars. It's people that are doing it for their own good. You know, imagine when you're going to work where you make about 400 to 500 a day, and your car is taken, someone wants 2.5. Where are you going to get that money?
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for your time. And Naledi, this brings us back to that point that was raised by the mayor a bit earlier on, is that this extortion takes different forms. It takes different forms, and in this particular incident, you have the taxi industry that is demanding that they too be compensated for the routes that they have developed. It's not the first time that we've heard such debates. Remember that this is a similar thing that has been happening in the Western Cape, in Cape Town to be specific, as well as in Gauteng, in Soweto. Remember that this has been one of the issues that have been raised, where the transport and taxi industries are arguing we have developed the routes and therefore we should be compensated, and the meter taxis, the e-hailing services must have the same permits that are granted to the taxi industry, and they must also contribute to the Department of Transport.
Yeah, and an interesting point as well, Aldrin, made by the mayor there around the work needing to be done by law enforcement. We're going to be in conversation with the MEC for Community Safety.